So I wanted to come on and talk about my where I'm at on my healing journey of self discovery, however you want to call it. Um, it's mainly to just continue on my path of healing, and just I found like that talking about things, expressing myself in a positive way for a change, actually tends to help me continue to just continue to strive to be a better person every day. But and, hopefully the message can resonate with somebody because we're all, on different, our own individual paths, but we're all going on different, different times. So I so I feel like expressing myself now kind of helps me continue to heal because I suppressed my voice for a very long time. Kind of like people pleasing and the whole not feeling good enough. I never wanted to go against the norm or the green or the normal, what people consider normal or yeah normal. Was what was socially accepted. All that played a big part in like how I operated in a way because I really was looking for some self validation, but from other people, I guess. So I chased chaos. Like I kind of consumed myself with chaos. I operated well in it. I kind of started the chaos, and I instigated the chaos. Both sides, all sides of it. I tried to fix the chaos. Whatever kept my mind constantly focusing on it, and not focusing on anything else. So I didn't have to sit with myself too long, or or take. Uh, it's, I kind of look back now and think I was kind of running from myself, the person that I had created. Because over the years, I created her. I was constantly reinventing her because, when you make up a false person, myself, I'm sorry, make up a false person, you have to make it up as you go. It's not like you write a blueprint for it and then, you know how to map it out. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to constantly reinvent her, reinvent yourself. But unfortunately, that runs keeps you running further away from your actual self. So, things that you would normally feel like you could do, like expressing yourself in a positive way, like speaking or just, even saying what you like or what you don't like or what's important to you and not someone else, just that after a while sits inside you and it doesn't kind of go away. So, you're not speaking your truth or however you want to say it, or speaking up for yourself. Even it could be different, well, for me it was like not kind of saying what I like because I don't feel like I knew what the person I made up like, you know what I mean? But I didn't really know. I knew what I liked, but I didn't know how to say it. I just suppressed it, so it was easier for me to be someone else to navigate in the situation I was currently in. But the shit got really, really heavy because I'm carrying a lot of shit around. I'm carrying all the shit I'm, not able to express is sitting in me. Um, and then that makes you even more resentful because you really don't want to kind of be in your situation, but you don't know how to get out of it. But it's not right. It was just very confusing. I was in a mental fog for a very, very long time. But when I did start to realize things, I came to a brutal truth that I wasn't ready for it. Well, I wasn't ready for it, but now I'm looking back and I'm like, wow, I I had to not only like take I say an inventory of myself, a complete inventory where I had to, see what was operating underneath the surface, because something was not something was controlling me, and it was starting to get uncontrollable, and I just didn't know what. I knew it was. It felt the weight kept feeling heavier and heavier in your head. It was a lot. So I thought I was mentally crazy. I thought that I was, just everyone was against me. All these situations kept arising in my life. It seemed like the same cycle over and over of bullshit, the chaos, ugh, it was just so familiar. I was sitting in it and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't know about, I'm like, I'm cursed. I was blaming God. I didn't, it was a lot. It was a lot. But I'm going to say, I was kind of, I think my intuition was constantly knocking and yelling at me and telling me, to pay attention, and I wasn't listening. And change sometimes is not, it's not easy. Change is it's fearful. I was fearful of change, but I guess it got tired of me waiting on me, so it kind of smacked me in my face, so to speak. And that's kind of where my journey began. I didn't even know. It's not like I planned something out. Like I'm like, oh, this is what healing is, and I was really clueless, to be honest with you, about um, even like how much my childhood shaped my kind of my mindset, how I viewed things, how I operated, kind of, how I dealt with my situations, and along with that conditioning and along with my own issues, it it didn't make sense. But then it didn't make sense at the time, but because it was coming in slowly and the information I needed. But it kind of like when it needed to, like when I would need an answer, I would just kind of it would be shown to me in a way, that uh, made sense. They all started to make sense as it went. So I can't, I had some very uncomfortable days, but they um, they were necessary too, because I would have continued to run away from the inevitable in a way, because I kind of didn't know there was something on the other side at the time. I just thought, it was always going to be the same shit, just a different situation. I really honestly felt that. But, as time goes on, it gets harder because you kind of, you don't see anything changing and you don't realize why, and you're blaming everybody else but yourself. But I never sat long enough with myself to even, into consideration that I might be causing a lot of my issues. Not everybody else. It's easy to blame everybody else and not yourself, because it's just easier. So that was the first brutal truth I came across, that wow, damn, I played a big part in this shit. And yeah, that was the most uncomfortable. But I understand it a lot clearer now. And it helps me once you change, like, how you've always viewed something and put yourself in the equation too, it makes more sense. You start to look at things more like, damn, I always had that control to change the situation if I change kind of how I, not other people, because you can't do that. You can't change anyone else. You can try to overthink it. You can try to like you could even wish for them to change, but you can't change anybody else. But I learned that I can change how they affect me and how I react to how they are. That makes the biggest difference. It does, because you really cannot change anyone who does not want to change themselves. And when you start to, to look at why you really need certain people to change, a different that's a different thing that will help too, because You know, you want people to change for your own personal selfish reasons. But maybe you're the one who needs to change, and your shit will change. It's really kind of that simple, in a way. You have to well, I'll just tell you. For me, I had to sit with myself long enough, but I never wanted to be alone, so I was never alone. I never sat long enough to even think clear. Like I always was ready to go into the next chaotic situation, you know, because my mind couldn't rest. It was always on alert, always ready for the next thing. And I stayed prepared. You know what I mean? Or if it didn't, I would create the next thing to fill the empty space in my head, not just physically, mentally too. So when I learned to well, for me it happened when I got in this last relationship I was in. And for me, it was always with a relationship because of the lonely, the thing of being lonely. That's an abandonment issue I had. So I felt like, if I could fix whatever cycle I'm in right now, or fix this person, and they don't leave, maybe I can fix maybe the first abandonment would take that pain away. It's kind of what it boiled down to, but it doesn't really work like that. But you kind of and that's something you do subconsciously. It's not something you consciously are aware of. That's something your system's doing kind of behind the scenes because it remembers that first thing because you haven't dealt with it yet. It's still there, and it remembers it, and you're trying to fix it without knowing it in these situations. So I in the last situation was a little more complicated than the others. I kind of say it was like the last one, but I felt like it was all my toxic situations in one person, just very and escalated. Like it was something that was probably shown to me many times before, but not to a point where I was like literally being shown to me more clearer because I started to feel like I just got tired. I got tired. I got tired of just choosing different and tired of dealing with the same shit. I just got tired, and I really asked I was like I have to change something, but I didn't know how. I didn't really have a lot of faith in anything, not anything. I didn't. I was questioning, God. I questioned everyone in my family. I questioned everybody, and I didn't have faith in anything. So I didn't really have. I wasn't looking at anything brighter. I was just looking at you know this cycle to end so I could whatever was next. I didn't think it would be anything better. But I started to just feel like maybe if I tried to change or put my time, my energy, my focus into something different than this person that's treating me like complete shit. And it was just a familiar feeling, but it was just intensified because I was just tired of it, just tired of people. Well, at the time, I'm tired of people always treating me like this. Not saying, well, why do they keep treating? Ask a deeper question. Why are they treating you like that, or why do you keep choosing a person that would treat you like that? You know what I mean? But like I said, that accountability or that you know realizing you're part of or you're probably the biggest part of your problem didn't sit well with me because I definitely had a fear of not ever being good enough because that was another issue I had. So that all that shit inside me was just kind of like running my life, making my decisions for me. Just pulling the strings in the background of my life, and I was the one steering the ship. But I didn't realize they were back there, so to speak. But it all came to kind of a head. Like in this situation, but I felt like I was being shown a lesson or you know, I would say a blessing, a lesson, whatever it was at the time. It started to I started to want change more than I did anymore. So I started to just do things that I felt weren't for anyone else this time, because that's what I've always did. Whatever with anyone else, even movies. What movies they like to watch? Oh, I'll watch that. It had gotten that bad. It just anything that was keep whatever the chaotic piece, because I was getting to the point where I didn't give a fuck. You know what I mean? But I didn't know how to say it because I was scared they would leave. So it was really like a fucked up cycle I was in. Like, not wanting to be in the shit anymore, but fearful of leaving because, then it all comes to a head, and that seemed more uncomfortable at the time too. But I guess when you get so uncomfortable or so just tired, I was like mentally exhausted, just kind of depleted, and I was kind of like, I don't want to say stripped of everything. Just at the time, I wasn't like anything that really I thought was value to me, and tangible things I'm talking about, because that's kind of what I, based my based the value on. People who had more or had better jobs, they were better people. It's not necessarily the case. They just have better jobs because they could be fucked up people, which most of them are. And doesn't make your character is your character. That doesn't change regardless of what you've been through in life. You can be in the most fucked up circumstances, and that doesn't change who you are as a person. It can alter your decisions, but you know who you are. You know what I mean? Nobody could ever tell you or make you feel like that, so you shouldn't let them. And that's why I started to tap into things like that, like just the why am I. I started asking deeper questions than surface level shit and I kept it surface level because that's easier. You ask the deeper questions, you might find deeper answers, and that's the truth. But I needed different answers this time, so I had to dig deeper. And I started to realize that I'd rather be alone than to have somebody control my emotions, my just make me feel like I don't want to feel it. You know what I mean? And this last one was trying to control everything. And as I was starting to see it more on a clearer scale, and I was calling it out for the first time, like no, I'm actually no. So if you think I'm these names you're calling me, then okay, that's okay for you to think that, because I don't think it anymore. Like I let people play on me so long that I was kind of thinking they were right. They were right. Yeah, I am. I am these certain names, or I didn't want them to think I was these certain names, so I would be harder or nicer or act like I wasn't these things, so they would like me more. No, I had to So I started to ask deeper questions like, why do I keep attracting people that that don't want to kind of don't want the same things I want? But so, which brought me to my first realization is I don't even know kind of what that is anymore because I have been creating shit up for so long that I only knew what that person, you know what I mean? I didn't know what kind of even made me happy. Besides, my kids, my kids and my kids at that point, was the only thing that was actually had any type of value to me. And because I never really valued the things that I chased. It was just something that how do you say it? It's like it's like you're in situations where the environment is the environment, and you're in the environment, and you don't have to. You have free choice. I mean, you have free will at all times, but sometimes when you're in circumstances that you're in for whatever the reason is, sometimes your free will isn't as free as you think. It's kind of like you kind of succumb to your circumstances just out of habit, out of, out of whatever. And I'm not saying I absolutely did. I was submerged in toxicity, and I loved it. I loved it. Well, it kept me very busy. It kept my mind occupied. It kept me on. It kept me on. It kept me going, so I could deal with all the shit that everyone else was doing to me. Not me though. Everyone else was doing to me. But I just started to actually remember, like, I don't want to say I remember back to when the things I used to like, because I didn't really know. I had been creating a false reality at a very early age. So the things that I would have liked to enjoy, I don't, I won't say necessarily, I don't remember, because or maybe I never even knew what I liked, because I have been creating things for a very, very long time, because I was never able to express any. When I was little, I couldn't express the things that I would have liked anyway, because they wouldn't have been accepted, or I didn't even think I had anyone to express them to, because I was usually alone when I was little. A lot. I was alone. I didn't have people that, I didn't feel nurtured, or, and I'm not, no, I'm not throwing shade to anyone, my mom or anything like that, because that's not what this is about. This is about my personal thing. But I'm saying I don't feel like I felt like I could express the things that were important to me for them to be nourished. That's how you don't know. Some people will be like, oh yeah, I remember I used to do this. I used to do that. That's where I found my peace. I didn't know what my peace would be. I know what I thought it would look like, but not ever realizing that that doesn't come from external things. That doesn't come from the things you can buy. Not the peace that you're looking for. No, it's like an internal peace you need to find, and that's something that you have to. I had to find out what was like important to me, or what I liked, or what I not what I wanted, because I always kind of knew that. But how do I get back to that person that doesn't allow all this anymore? All this that I didn't want it, and I wasn't gonna allow it anymore. So I just started to go off of what I didn't want. Is what, you know what I mean? What I didn't want someone to try to devalue me and me allow it. Like, that was the first thing that wasn't gonna happen anymore. So I had to, I stayed in the situation as long as I needed to do things that I wouldn't have done normally. Like, I was always taught, oh, you don't call the cops, or you don't do this, or you don't do that. Well, that's just something. I mean, if you feel like you're physically in danger, then you should call the cops, no matter what someone else says. Let them worry about their own situation. So I just started to do things, even little things, as far as like wearing my hair a certain way, that I was being criticized before about. But even if I would have liked it, I would have been like, well, let me not do my hair like that, because I don't want, I don't want him to say that and making me feel fucked up. You know what I mean? Because I always felt like it was intentional. I mean, it kind of was. But I had to stay in and learn how to, like, say, well, I like my hair like that, or I like my clothes like that, or, well, you don't like it, then, just, that's good for you, but you can't choose what's good for me. It was just that simple, just making really small changes in how I let someone treat me, because because when I did that for so long, I suppressed my voice. I didn't know how to express myself to get the results I needed to be comfortable, or be, just to speak, or because if I would have spoke up sooner, I wouldn't have allowed it in for so many different times in my life. So I had to learn how to speak up for myself, do uncomfortable things that I wouldn't have normally done. I just would have passed it off like, it was too uncomfortable, so I would, make up a reason or a situation on why I couldn't do this or I couldn't leave, or it was always a reason. But it was just my own shit. I could have left any fucking time I wanted to. So I just started to tap into like what I'm not gonna allow anymore. And and I figured whoever's on the other side of that is supposed to be. You know what I mean? Because people will either step up or not. And I was comfortable with that for the first time. I was comfortable with whatever the outcome was. That was different. Before I kind of knew the outcome, so I played the part that I needed to play to get that outcome. And that was always just stay and make the shit work because, like I said, if I could make it work, it would probably somehow make me feel better about whatever I could not fix in me. But at the time, like I said, I didn't know it was, something internal. I had to like go in and just see, revisit things from the past and see how they made me feel and why, I kind of had to understand them a little more. Not, they can't go away. You don't try to make them go away. You just try to understand them so you can know how to deal with them when they come up, because they're gonna come up and they'll continue to come up for any and everybody. That's psychology. That's not spiritual. That's not. Or you can say it however you want. The lessons you're not learning, that's what you keep coming back around to show you again until you learn it. You can put it that way too, but all it basically is you changing how things affect you. And it'll be different for most people. For me, it was very emotional. Sorry, I'm still in the hood. No, I'm kidding. For me, it was emotional. So, I felt like I drew in emotionally unavailable people. But for me, it wasn't, I was doing it probably because I was overly emotional and they weren't. So I guess I would be the over emotional one. And I guess it was supposed to balance out, but never did because I was always giving more. But that's something I had to realize. You shouldn't have to give more for someone to meet you halfway. That's not halfway. It means they took a shortcut or they took they met you an hour later. You are already sitting here. Some shit is not equal. But when you're lacking some internal peace, or when you're lacking things that you need to heal up inside of you, you'll allow it in your life because that's that's what it, that's what I it's kind of why you allow it in, because you don't know that you're trying to chase what hurt you to begin with. That what formed all these patterns and these why you make these decisions. It's just it was hard. It was a lot of uncomfortable realizations, uncomfortable truths I had to face, and it's not like you wake up one day, and you're like, oh, I'm healed. It doesn't work like that. You have like it's not glamorous all the time, and there's no rescue squad waiting for you. It's like you're on your own. Like it's your responsibility for your healing. Nobody else's. Nobody can do it for you. Yeah, I got a lot of guidance and insight, which I am greatly appreciated for. But when it comes down to doing the stuff that no one else could do for you, that's something you have to do. It's internal. I can't go inside. No one else can come inside and fix what's broken in me. I had to go in it. And yeah, I was pretty fucked up. Which goes to say, like anybody out there, like just always just keep going. You know what I'm saying? Because there's something on the other side of change. It's just you don't. It might not be what you think it is or what you thought it would look like. Your peace. Well, it might not be the environment you're in, or the situation, or the relationship you're in, or the job you're in, because it's not really. It's more of a feeling. It's more of a sense of calm after you've been in the storm for a long time, and you're navigating everyone else's web storms too. like a stillness. Like I'm not, I'm not where I want to be financially right now, and I don't, I'm just not where I thought I would be or what would make me happy, but I'm at a sense of peace. Like I, I have like things that I do, like I paint now, and which brings me peace. And like speaking now about things that I suppressed for so long, really, really, truly helps me more than anything else. So I'm really content and at peace. But it's not like I said. It's not what I thought it would look like because it didn't look like anything. It was a feeling. And I'm at a really, really good space just to know that I am very aware of how people can treat you, how they will treat you if you allow them. And, that's on you. Once you're aware of it or you see it, then that's on you. You know how to engage. You know how to, how long you want to allow it in your space anymore. And you know, so I'm just saying hang in there wherever you're at on your journey. So, so I can stay on mine and just know that, you really never needed anybody else but yourself until you kind of go in and see what's operating underneath there and what you need to address. You'll always continue to allow people in through that space, a space that's not uh, aware yet. And awareness comes in small doses. It doesn't come like in. You don't get one time and you're aware and you're like, oh, okay, no. Realization comes. I mean, awareness comes in small doses. Each time you choose differently than you would before, whether it be like just even letting someone overuse you. No, I'm not gonna take you to the store again. If I took you to just small things, and the next time you'll be aware of how they react. Just a person that ever was using you, or someone who is a genuine person that just needed you just be aware, and then you're like, okay, well, no, I'm not next time. So it's just awareness and choosing yourself. Choose yourself before anyone else, and then the right people will come along. But if they don't, you don't need them because you already have yourself, and that's really all you needed. Like whatever you searched for, whatever you've been searching for years of your life and chasing it to find it in other people is something that you need to work on in you, and you won't need it in anyone else. You could want it, and you'll choose differently. You won't choose out of a place that's still wanting someone else to fix them, or want someone else to say them, or want someone else to love them. Because you'll love yourself, and then the people who you'll attract the people that you want, and that's the truth. Deuces.